On something like this, our own political editor Craig Patrick is now here to take us through the polls. Craig, this would really be something if this happens. What do you think here?
Well, in Florida, it's highly likely to happen. There will be a look-alike law proposed, and it's highly likely to pass based on what we've already heard. But that takes us into next year. In the meantime, we have a lot of polling going all the way back to the 1970s, so we can track year after year what public opinion is in this state and across the nation, and it does show a very clear majority support the Roe v. Wade ruling from 1973 that does provide legal protection to seek abortion. But when you dig deeper into the specific questions in polls and look a little closer at all of the data taken together, it does get a little more complicated in terms of public opinion than many people may think. The Texas law effectively bans abortion when a heartbeat can be detected in a fetus. Where would you guess people line up on that in concept? Well, before the law took effect, Kaiser Family Foundation polling asked, do you support or oppose laws prohibiting abortion once cardiac activity, sometimes known as fetal heartbeat, is detected? Compare your guess to these results. It's a near even split, 49% support, 50% oppose. But when they followed up by saying, what if we told you fetal heartbeat is usually detected 6 weeks into pregnancy before many women know they are pregnant, then the results shifted 10 points. With that, a clear majority, 60% oppose it. We've seen a lot of this in polling the past few years on abortion. Positions swing one direction or the other based on how they phrase the questions or what additional context the pollsters provide. That appears to be in part due to the fact that a lot of people's opinions are not locked in on this. And being a sensitive issue, a lot of people don't openly discuss. Many also have a significant lack of knowledge on the issue. While more than 60% say they or someone they know has had an abortion, a majority of adults are unaware of the timing of most abortions. 42% don't realize Roe v. Wade allows restrictions on abortions. And they're all over the map on what they think overturning Roe v. Wade would mean in their states. And the labels people choose to identify themselves on this issue can also be misleading. While 40% identify as pro-life, 3 in 10 who call themselves pro-life do not want the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade. Overall, polls after polls show a clear majority think abortion should be legal in the United States. But polls after polls also show a clear majority think states like Texas have the right to add restrictions. And as we showed you, opinions on what Texas is doing are not yet fully informed or fully locked in. And certainly up until now, this has just not been top of mind for most voters. Looking at the polling heading into last November's election, for example, it was in the low single digits. Some of the polls, for example, showed this was a top issue for 6 to 7% of the voters. They were focused on other matters, and with this, may now just be paying attention to this mark.
Yeah, 7% for Republicans, too. That's especially seems low. What about the Supreme Court? Do we have any indication yet on how the Supreme Court may eventually rule on the Texas law?
No, there are a lot of assumptions because the composition of the court has changed. It's now stacked 6-3 with Republican appointees. It's clearly a more conservative court, so those who oppose abortion certainly think they have a better chance than they've had in decades to try to get Roe v. Wade overturned, but the justices have not given specific indications. Amy Coney Barrett, for example, has expressed in the past personal opposition to abortion doesn't necessarily mean that will manifest in how they interpret the law and prior landmark cases and where they go from here.
Yeah, and any sort of a timetable on when you think at least the Florida measure may move forward?
The Florida measure will move forward early next year, and by spring of next year, it is a near 100% chance that that will pass, based on what Senate leadership has already said and what we would expect from House leadership and from the governor. In terms of the Supreme Court taking up the Texas case, we just don't know. That could take us into June of next year or later when we would get a final ruling.
Right. They have a history of taking their time, for sure. Craig, thanks.